Guys, thank you so much for joining me back again for another session from What the Andra, which is part of the Pecino report. So I'm coming to you today from a freezing, cold, rainy or wintry day here in Adelaide in South Australia. And as you can hear, I have my sexy voice going on for you, so I'll try to keep that going without coughing. No, I'm doing pretty well. On the couch today with What the Andra, I spoke to Sarah and Judd Merrell. These guys are both absolute crazy fanatic motorcycle enthusiasts, and they've both bring different aspects to their family life from each of them. So we've got Sarah, who used to be a model, and I guess through her love for Judd got introduced to motorbikes and is now riding them I think pretty much every day from the sounds of it. Spoke to Judd. He is from the Deals Gap Resort in Robbinsville, North Carolina. So he told us about the Dragon, which you need to jump online and check out. It's a pretty crazy track for anyone with any type of motorcycle experience can jump on and have a ride there at the resort. They've got accommodation. I'm going to grab my passport out, and once the borders open up, I think I might have to head there myself. The team and I'm sure will be keen to go. Sarah told me about some high heel riding boots that she's trialed. There's photos of these on her Instagram, so go and have a look at them. I'm pretty sure we've got some guys and girls, and probably the host of our podcast, Dave, might be interested in these boots. But the best part of this conversation I had today is, you know, we all enjoy a good love story, and these guys are completely madly in love, supportive of each other, and are pushing and supporting each other to be the best that they can possibly be. What more could you possibly want? So guys, thank you very much for joining me today on What the Andra. Here I am with Sarah and Judd Merrell.
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting time.
Yeah. You guys coping okay?
Yeah, you know, it really is the motorcycles, I think, that are keeping us sane, because where we live, there's a lot of restrictions, but one of the things that we are allowed to do is riding a motorcycle is permitted. And so,
oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah, it's really good, because it's like, you know, during the week, it can be stressful because both of us are working for businesses who are impacted by COVID-19. And we're having to deal with a very complex and evolving threat, basically, in the business environment. But then on the weekends, and sometimes during the week, like when he gets off work, we'll go for a motorcycle ride. And you just, when you're out there on the bike, you forget that there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah, it's your mental health.
Yeah, you just enjoy it.
So if we start at the absolute beginning, I would love to hear how you guys met.
I was going to be a chiropractor, and in order to get myself through chiropractic school, I was going to be a personal trainer, because the two went kind of hand in hand. And so I started off on becoming a personal trainer, and something deep inside of me said that there was more to personal training than maybe what I had originally thought, more than a tool to get through it. And became a personal trainer, started working for multiple gyms. Lo and behold, one day, there was this young blue-eyed brunette who was doing the pec fly totally incorrectly. And now,
you had to help her. I'm sure you had to adjust her technique.
It was my job to help her. Yes.
Of course.
And now, did I have butterflies before I approached her? Absolutely. Did I know that it would turn out to be an 11-year marriage? Not by any stretch of the imagination. But I went over there and I talked to her that day, helped her out. I introduced myself. And one of the break points, I think, and Sarah will tell you this, that I asked to approach her. I asked if it was okay if I could get in her personal space. I asked if it was okay if I could touch her in a professional manner. That's quite
uncommon, especially in that industry too.
Absolutely. Something that she, as a very attractive female, had kind of combated a lot, especially in the gym arena. And so to her, it was a very fresh approach and a new awakening, because I was not there for ulterior motives. I was there as a professional relationship, and it was so for about 6 weeks. And then actually our moms met before we met, and Sarah met my mom before we kind of all put everything together, and they kind of hit it off because of horses, and our moms met, and they kind of saw the relationship before we even saw it, which was kind of wild. But fast forward to 6 weeks, and one date led into a conversation, led into, I like you a whole lot, and I think it should go forward. And then fast forward another year was when I proposed to her. And I think shortly after that, it was a Thanksgiving day here in the U.S., and it was very warm, unseasonably warm. And so I rode the bike over to Sarah's parents' house, and it was a 2006 Yamaha R6. And Sarah had never been on a bike, and her sister, who now lives in Spain, was still stateside, and was very encouraging to Sarah to try it out and to ride it. And I'm not one of those egotistical guys that wants to put you on the back and show you how fast I can go. I wanted Sarah to enjoy it just like I enjoyed it. And that is not at triple digit speed. That is, hey, just go get comfortable with it, enjoy it, realize that it's not going to hurt you initially, and just experience the awe and wonder of it, to begin with. And so put her on the back. We rode around in a timely manner, and kind of tying back into the horses. Sarah had been riding and eventing and jumping, dressage, been around horses almost her entire life. And that really showed that first time she got on the back of the bike, because I didn't realize that the human body, especially females, could squeeze with their legs so hard. They could squeeze a male so hard in the lower body that you could actually lose your breath. It was amazing to me. I had no idea the strength of female, and I had to get her to calm down a little bit because she was squeezing so hard. And finally, once she relaxed, I think you kind of feel the sense of awe and wonder come over her a little bit. And little did we know it was on the brink of a very, very long and hopefully prosperous career of motorcycling. So from that day on, she rode on the back, and poor thing, at 5'8", it's like sitting on a credit card. The back seat of a sport bike is nowhere for any human being to spend any amount of time. And so, months went by, and she got more and more comfortable, and we were riding, of course, out to Deals Gap. We were living in Asheville, which is 90 miles on the other side of the resort at this point. Which
we should probably explain what that is, the Dragon.
Sure. So the Dragon and Deals Gap motorcycle.
That's one of my questions.
Yeah, it's a very famous road. It is the Dragon. It's 318 curves and 11 miles. There's no residence. There's no entry, exit. There's very few places that you can get onto it other than the highway itself. And so very famous road, very undulating, very decreasing radius, very tight, rhythmic sections, very technical road, to say the least, at 318 curves, condensed in a very short 11 miles. Very fun, very exhilarating. We get a lot of Australians, Europeans, people from all over the world come and ride the Dragon, as they should. It's one of those bucket list type roads that they should ride. And so we were traveling from Asheville to Deals Gap to the Dragon because it's 90 miles. Why wouldn't you go every weekend? That was a cool place to hang out. And we were starting to develop some friendly relationships over there. And so we kept going on. And, 90 miles on the back of a sport bike is pretty tough.
It was awful. Like my knees were killing me. My back was killing me. And we got through the whole day, and we stopped at this rest area, and I'm like hitting the back of his helmet, please stop. This is so painful. And so he pulled over, and I was just I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. I'm not enjoying this. And he was like, well, you could just get your own bike.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, I can do that? And he said, yeah, you can. And before that moment, I had never thought about that of hey, I can do this. I can ride my own bike. This can be me. And it really kind of took him saying that, and it just clicked. And it was oh my gosh, I can ride my own bike. And immediately after, I looked for the first motorcycle course I could possibly take to enroll in. Before I even took the course, bought my first bike that I didn't even know how to ride.
But I wouldn't let her ride it until she passed the course. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Absolutely
okay.
not.
Yeah.
No,
no secret lessons?
Absolutely, because I did it the wrong way. I cowboyed up and was blessed enough not to get hurt, injured, or killed. And I wasn't going to allow that for her to do that. I learned from my mistakes. Go through the class. When you complete the class, of course, Miss Flying Colors over here, 100%. gets it knocked out, then you can ride your own bike. Until then, do it right. Don't get hurt. It's totally, all that is, knowledge is power, and, don't be stupid about it. Educate yourself.
Which you've got to, I suppose, because you had everything there to just jump on and ride anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it takes that intelligence to go, hey, hang on a second. This is not coloring. This is not quilting. This is something you can get, injured, hurt, or killed at. So, yeah.
So, Sarah, do you think that's the moment when you fell in love with both of them, Judd and the motorbike?
Yeah, I mean, well, I was already in love with Judd, but yeah, it was like, it really was like an enlightening moment of, for the first time in my life ever, somebody was supporting me and saying, I could do this. I can ride a motorcycle. And, and that's the thing. And that's why I'm so just ingrained in the women's motorcycle community and very vocal about being a motorcyclist and supporting other women, because women, there's a lot of women out there like me who, I think, because for so long, the industry has catered to men, but recently that's been changing. And I would say actually over the course of the last decade or so, it's actually impressive how many.
And it's ramping up, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And it's great. And I've received a lot of support from major motorcycle brands and manufacturers, and they support like the women's sport bike rally that I do, a lot of women's track days. And so now a lot of them are getting behind it. But I think back then it was still kind of on the upswing. And I didn't know any women motorcyclists. And so when you don't see other people like you out there doing it, it's hard to see yourself in it. And so that's one of the reasons why I really try to, through social media and online and events, just, tell other women like, hey, you can do this. Yeah. You've got.
It sounds like it was such an empowering moment for you, and you're now able to be a leader in that and support. And you're right, because we do. I think we sit there and go, oh no, that's his thing to do. There's no reason we can't do it.
Yeah, and I think there's such a connotation with motorsports and motorcycling specifically that it is a male dominant sport, that I think the ladies, once they're shown by, influencer examples or just great, friends that, hey, you can do this, and encourage, instead of go, no, that's not for you, or you can't do that, and have to be
and it seems that some women are physically suited better, because is it better to be a bit smaller, strong?
Yeah. There's the whole horsepower to weight ratio, and so like we race mini motorcycles, which are very small, like 88 cc's, and
that's what I'm going to try first.
You should love it.
Careful. It's the small ones that get you hurt.
Probably.
No, they're fun.
Everybody goes, oh, look, they're small and they're cute.
It's fine.
Yeah. They think that size is representative of how hurt you can get, and that is quite the opposite. You can get more hurt on the small ones than you can on the big ones, I promise. But
closer to the ground.
You can really feel like the horsepower to weight ratio with the small bikes, and I just got, before all the COVID-19 stuff hit, bought a Kawasaki Z125 and signed up for our first race on it, and I'm so excited to race this little bike, and then the whole coronavirus hits, and it is what it is. We'll all get through it. But, in the meantime, social media has been a great way to connect with other motorcyclists.
Thank goodness for technology. Imagine 20, 30 years ago if we're all locked up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's got to be a great way to know that you're a racer, that before you've even ridden the bike, you've signed up for a race. What
Did Sarah do that?
Yeah, well, with the Kawasaki 125, we had brought it home, and I think we ran into a stretch of bad weather right there that we didn't ride it for probably a week. Found out about this race, and we're like, oh, well, let's sign up for it, and we haven't even ridden the thing. It's kind of like, uh-oh, wait a second.
And what happened in that? How'd you go?
Oh, well, it's supposed to take place in June at Barber Motorsports Park, which is in Alabama, which is an amazing place, which if anyone comes stateside to do motorcycles and they're on the East Coast, highly recommend going to Barber. They have a motorcycle museum that's just like world renowned.
That would be incredible.
It's awesome. And we've done track days there on our sport bikes. That's how we know it, is from track days and going to the museum. But they're having a small bore rally in June. Fingers crossed that doesn't get canceled. But that will be both of our first races on the Z125. We're doing an endurance race where we're a team.
In a team together. Just you two?
Yeah, it's just the two of us.
I love that.
And I think the competition will be awfully stiff for a bike we've never raced before. But, got to start.
So how long is that endurance race?
Oh man,
gosh.
What did they say?
It will take about 2 or 3 hours.
2 or 3.
Yeah, which on a small bore bike is a long way.
So will you plan to ride as long as you feel, or will you go you're riding 20 minutes? Or
we haven't gotten that far. The whole COVID thing has kind of thrown us off route, but we thought of kind of breaking it up every 15 because we're used to 15-minute segments on the 88 cc's is about as long as you want to go to really. And
you need to be focused, don't you? You can't sort of
really push. You can't go out there and lollygag and count roses and butterflies. You got to get at it. And so we were thinking maybe every 15 with the two of us. That way it kind of broke it up. But, it's one of those things. It's uncharted territory for us. We might get out there and feel like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you could really push. But, even the small bikes at that level take a lot of physical effort. So 20 or 30 minutes is a long time, especially coming out of almost hibernation. We've been running a lot.
Absolutely.
But, coming out of a situation where we're not on our A+ game physically might be a little tough.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Oh, thanks.
So, Judd, do you mind just mentioning a bit more about the Deals Gap motorbike resort? I was fascinated when Sarah mentioned it. Had a bit of a look.
Absolutely. So right there in Deals Gap, North Carolina, very small population, very, as I like to call it, a corner of the world, because it seems like a place where time has forgotten in some areas. But sure enough, 318 curves nestled in probably some of the best riding roads in the world. Foothills Parkway, Cherry Hill Skyway, Highway 28, just the Blue Ridge Parkway is right around the corner. A lot of people will come to the resort and ask where the closest interstate is so that they can get away from the curves. And we have to break their hearts and say there's not any. There's nothing close by that's not curvy. And what a motorcycle's dream.
So people can come and book for a weekend.
Yes, ma'am.
Stay there, go riding.
At the resort, we have a convenience store, merchandise. We have gas pumps there offering non-ethanol, 93 octane. We have a 65-seat grill, cooking some great Southern food, hamburgers, hot dogs, brats.
Tell me there's beer.
Absolutely. Of course, we have some local beer. A lot of local breweries are getting involved. And right now we have Boojum Brewing, which is specific to Western North Carolina. They don't distribute or sell outside of Western North Carolina.
Supporting local business. Good.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. And they have great beer too, so that helps. And then we have a 14-room motel. And when we always suggest to guests that if they want to stay in 2021, that they need to book their reservation before they leave in 2020. So we run from March to November, and it's wide open. I always call it a bike show, car show, and people show all in the same spot. So it's amazing to see all the different bikes, all the different cars are really starting to come in now.
And celebrities as well.
Oh, really? Excellent.
We've had.
Do you want to name drop some?
Kyle Petty came through years ago, and he walked into the store, and he was going to pick up the tab for whoever in his crew was inside the store. And so the staff at that time had to lock the doors and say, get out if you're not with this party. They locked the doors behind him, and Mr. Petty picked up the tab for the number of people that were in the resort at that point. Jay Leno has stopped by. Nice. Sarah and I did a nice little promo and segment with the Ride with Norman Reedus show. Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead, through AMC. Our little mini bike series was with that, and we showed Norman around a good time of Fitties for Life, which is our little race series that we have right there in the parking lot. So about every third Saturday, about 8 o'clock or so, we shoo everybody out of the parking lot. We put up some cones and banners, and we turn the stadium lights on, and we have a little mini bike race right there in the parking lot. And we've been doing that for 11 years now. Yeah.
Yes, and I beat him in the last race.
Oh, nice. Oh.
Does it count if my bike broke? I mean,
yes, it counts.
If she won, she won.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Absolutely. Well earned. Well earned. In order to finish first you must finish.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like such an amazing community and just people with common interests or love. It's a love, isn't it?
It is, and Sarah's really been an added value to that, and a lot of her friends and girlfriends, and a lot of the girlfriends are obviously married or have boyfriends, and so now it has become kind of a couples community and friendship and relationship. And it was that early on, but it's grown more so now, and that's really nice to experience somewhat in our later years, if you will. But it's kind of nice. We're all maturing about the same rate and connecting, and we all have this love for motorsports. And we have friends from North Georgia and Virginia and surrounding states come in, and it's really fun to get together as couples and enjoy the same industry and the same need to go fast. So yeah,
that's amazing. Even while you guys speak, the way you look at each other, it's beautiful. It's nice to see couples so supportive of each other and with common love. Yeah,
it's not something we find, and we're during this whole pandemic process, we've been talking about that quite a bit. We're surprised at how much we can kind of tolerate with each other, but I think we knew that early on too.
That's like my husband and I. We're both set up at the dining table working from home, and I thought we'd get sick of each other, but we're talking a lot and not driving each other.
That's what's supposed to happen with couples. You're supposed to communicate and love on each other and take it all in and support, and that's the fun part.
Not everybody does. But yes, you're right. You are absolutely right. I'm just going to jump back again to the resort. I did see the Tree of Shame.
The Tree of Shame is on the property. Is very famous.
I have parts.
we all have parts, right? Whether they're physically on the Tree of Shame or not, I think metaphorically they are, because there's two types of motorcyclists: those that have wrecked and those that are going to wreck. But the Tree of Shame is a physical symbol of people who have either made mistakes or who have gotten in accidents or who have not survived a clean run through the dragon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet there's people that rock up and think they could do it easy and they don't.
They do. Sadly, people come in and go, you know what, there's curvy roads in Florida or Washington, or, I'm so-and-so and this is nothing. And I admit, I was one of those people. I first rode the dragon in 2003 and didn't really know what I was getting into, was by myself, made a solo ride from Asheville for, at that time, was a long way at 90 miles, because it was something I'd never done before. And I got there, and of course, like others, I went, there's no way there's 318 curves. I've ridden a lot of West North Carolina. There's no way there's 308. There's no way. It's not here. I'm going to count them. And I was riding at a very slow pace now. And I counted to 20 about as fast as I could count to 20, and lost all my fingers and toes and went, you know what? They're here. That's it. They got to be here. Yeah. It was amazing. So, so the tree is again a symbol of people that maybe don't take it serious, or maybe caught off guard, or maybe it's just one of those days that the dragon feels like biting somebody, and there's some mystery in that too. And so it is a collection of bike parts, apparel,
people's souls.
People's souls. You know what? We laugh about that, but there are some parts on there that people did not survive, and we hate to say that, but that is a reality that does happen. Absolutely. But statistically speaking, is one of the safer roads in all of America. I always tell people that statistically, more people get injured or killed on the way to the dragon than they do on the dragon.
Yeah, normal traffic in their normal cars.
Absolutely. And that's a bigger death toll than all of the tourists and all of the locals that ride it multiple times a day, multiple times a months out of the year for years on end. And sadly, the death toll is it's still in single digits, thankfully, but it's still in single digits. And we estimate that we have about 250,000 motorcyclists and visitors come into the parking lot annually. And I say annually, and that's through the months of March to October, November that we're open. And so it's a very concentrated amount of riders and people in a very small amount of time. And so for the injury rate and sadly, the death is very slow and low for the number of people that come through. So people like the Blount County Sheriff's Department, Tennessee Highway Patrol, the Blount County Rescue Squad, who are actually stationed on the Dragon on the weekends. That's a development that has happened recently in the past couple of years. Make a huge difference because now the response time is minutes, maybe 5 or 10, whereas before it's 45 to 60. 45 to 60 minutes of a motorcycle wreck can be life or death. So
and that's the risk I suppose you take if you're living your life. You're getting out doing things. You can't just stay home and wrap yourself in bubble wrap.
That's it. And you know what? That probably couldn't be a more truer statement right now, either in motorsports or in COVID-19. There are people that choose to venture out and they're okay with taking those risks. There's others that want to stay home, and both of those answers are correct. And if you want to go ride your motorcycle at extreme speeds on a racetrack, or if you want to fudge the speed limit a little bit on a curvy mountain road, both of those answers are correct. So is not participating in motorsports. If you want to do that as well, it's up to each individual. As long as we have the option to choose what we can do and we're not told this is what you have to do, I think everybody's okay with that.
You're so right. Absolutely. So jumping over to you, Sarah, when I look at your photos, and it does tie in a bit because it sounds like it's such a spiritual experience for you guys as well. When I look at your photos, they're sexy, they're stylish, but they have that spiritual, balanced feel to them. Is that just a reflection of your personality?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I really appreciate you describing it that way. That's very kind. I think, really with social media, from the time I first started out, I just, I don't know, I just decided to not apologize for who I am and just to put it out there of this is me. And so really when you look at my social media, I actually have a background in the fashion industry. And for a while I still do a little bit of it, but not like I used to, modeling. And then I went from modeling to being a model coach to directing fashion shows and directing fashion photo shoots. And I was a fashion journalist. And so for a very long time. And so, with my social account, I have riding photos in there, and I talk a lot about riding, especially on my blog, and just trying to progress as a rider and connect with people. But I also have the part of me from the fashion community, I think that plays in, and with a lot of the photos. And just for example, today I actually was, or I guess it was yesterday, was trying out a pair of high-heeled riding boots by a French company called Feline Racing. And they sent me a pair of high-heeled riding boots. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect, because they were these very, very protective boots with steel reinforcements and extra padding, all this stuff to keep your feet safe while you're riding. But they also have a heel on them.
Or good for a big night out to keep you safe.
Right. And granted, when I'm riding, when I'm at the track, and when I'm, putting in hot laps and all that, I'm not going to be wearing high heeled boots, but it was really fun, to get to wear and try something like that. And so some of my photos, I definitely enjoy fashion, and that's just part of who I am. But I also enjoy, being a motorcyclist, and I enjoy sharing kind of my journey that I've taken from learning over the years. And really that's, I think that's a lot of what it's come down to. A lot of what I share is that I am the person that I am today, and I'm confident on my bike, and I'm having fun on my bike because I put a lot of work into just workshops, track day coaching, riding schools, learning from other experienced riders to become someone who I went from being not confident on my bike and struggling with it to feeling very confident. And when you feel confident, you feel empowered. And when you feel empowered, you have you have more fun and you have a better experience and it becomes a passion. And I want other people to have that. And so, so actually at the women's motorcycle conference that I did, that was last weekend, I think it was, and it was all virtual because of COVID-19. But that was a topic that I spoke about in my presentation was basically rider knowledge and training opportunities, books, blogs, videos, riding schools, all the different opportunities available specifically, to any rider, but also included some that I felt like would be good for women.
Which it sounds like straight away I can pick up that you're someone that goes, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be the best that I can be. Am I right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she right up the butt. It took me 11 years. No, I'm just kidding. We haven't been on 30 minutes and she nailed it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So again, such an amazing role model for people, like the things you just described.
Well,
because there's a lot of...
I have to interject here real quick because she's not telling you the full story. She came from horseback riding. And if you know anything about horses, they're dangerous on both ends and ornery in the middle. They're horrible. They're so much fun. It was one of our first dates. But if you can master and control a multi-thousand-pound animal to do what you want it to do, taking a couple 100-pound motorcycle of aluminum and steel and moving parts and make it do what you want.
Did she take you out for a 90-mile ride on the back of a horse?
No.
That would have been fair.
I took her on a horseback riding weekend per se. That's another story.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I did kick your butt at that, but yeah.
Well, I would hope so. You're like a professional rider. Yeah.
No, but
I love it.
horseback riding really did help, and actually, strangely enough, a lot of the women motorcyclists I've met have started out in horseback riding. Not to say that you have to, but I think a lot of the skills apply. Yeah.
It seems like it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, I'm not sure which would be scarier.
Yeah,
or
horses.
Safer or they're a bit more unpredictable.
That's the thing about horses and a live animal. If you say we're going to go right, the horse says no, we're going left. You're going left. You don't get a choice. You can either jump off or go left. With the bike,
and I grew up with horses, and I used to always think if they could just realize how strong they are.
We would be in trouble. But in a motorcycle, if you put the inputs into it correctly, you've maintained it, you don't have a mechanical failure, it's going to do what you tell it to do up into a certain point, and I guess the horse is the same way too, up into a certain point.
That's exactly right. Because we, so like one of my dreams, as I was kind of learning as a rider, was to do Yamaha Champions Riding School, because it's, they train some of the best riders in the world, and they use the techniques from champion riders, MotoGP riders and World Superbike riders in the States, Moto America, and I wanted to learn from the best. That's who I wanted to learn from, and so I wanted to do this school. And then finally, last year, we finally got the chance to do it, and it was everything that I hoped it would be. But in that school, they talk a lot about that. Motorcycle is not going to do anything that you don't tell it to do.
Tell it to.
And so we learn the proper techniques, the proper inputs, how to ride that bike. And they call it at Champ School, they call it crash-proof riding, because they say if you do this, you're not going to crash. And they're right. And granted, things happen that are outside of your control that can cause a crash, but at least if you follow these techniques, it provides a safe method of riding with the best techniques that the best riders in the world are using. And it transformed for both of us.
I often wonder that if they learn how to fall off.
Oh, that. So I don't know about learning to fall off, but
it was more of a focus of how to stay on under any circumstance.
Which is better. Always better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I had been giving Sarah what instruction that I had up until that point for 16 years on how to ride. And we went to Champ School, and in 2 days, I told people when I got back, it felt like I didn't know anything. It felt like I took those 16 years of riding and just threw them out the trash can. And it was amazing to see the transformation, not only in myself, but in her. in 2 days under those instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that school held?
So we attended at the Pittsburgh International Raceway pit race up in just outside of Pittsburgh. But then they do Palm Beach International Raceway down in Florida.
They have Palm Beach. They have New Jersey. They have Indy Motorsports Ranch in Arizona. Mm-hmm. They do California. But then they started expanding it internationally, actually. And so they held their first champ school in Sepang. Which was awesome. And so when they launched that champ school, and I guess this is where social media comes in a little bit, I had connected with this female rider, Yelena, who's over there near Sepang, and she was going to be doing champ school for the first time, but over there. And so we connected through social and did an interview together, and she really helped them launch that program over there. And she was able, and she participated and loved it and benefited from it. Got more women involved all the way across the globe in that program. And so she was really instrumental in that. So I think that we'll probably continue to see them continue to expand the program.
Yep, fantastic. So it sounds like a good thing that anyone interested in riding or riding should get into, learn more, be safer.
If I could go back and if I could give advice to my younger self or to new riders, go to champ school now. And that way you don't have to blow 16 years of riding poorly.
Just build on it.
Just build on the good stuff and build that foundation. And so you don't have to unlearn your bad habits. It's much easier to learn those great tools and to learn from like the pros like Nick and Kyle and Chris, instead of going, okay, now I need to forget what I've been doing for 16 years or teaching for 16 years. So hands down, they talk about modifications to the bike, and as Americans, I'm not sure how it is in Australia, but as red-blooded Americans, of course, we want to buy something and we want to make it faster and we want to make it more horsepower and we make it louder. As Americans, that's what we do, but that's not the right thing to do, because one of the best lines in champ school, I thought, was this motorcycle, as it sits right here in the paddock, has no modifications to it. It's bone stock. It came off the assembly line from Yamaha. It was designed by a professional test rider. Are you good enough? Are you as good as that professional test rider right now? And the answer, of course, is no. And it's like, well, then why would you need to modify it? Why would you need to make this scalpel any sharper than what it is?
Until you can ride to that level.
Until you can ride it to that level, you can improve this motorcycle. Go ride to its limit first, and then you can fix it. And, as Americans, it's like, oh, crap. I have to back up a little bit.
It's just a big good check-in.
Absolutely. You have to swallow your pride and go, okay, I'm gonna be the quiet motorcycle. I'm gonna be the one with all the non-go fast parts, and I'm gonna ride it, because what is the best tool is the person sitting on it, and that's that. To us, that's music to our ears. That's beautiful to take something that is already ready to go and just go ride it to its full potential.
Yep. Well, you guys are such amazing role models in your community, and it's been so nice talking. I want to keep talking to you for another hour or so.
We can make that happen, but we're going to need a refresher in a minute.
I know. I was wondering what you were drinking.
Well,
I'm drinking coffee because
we have a little Mexican. We have a little Mexican night once a week. So tonight was margaritas and Spanish rice and guacamole and tacos. So
beautiful. I know. Normally when we record our podcast, I'll have an ouzo.
Oh, nice.
And I might have to have a Mexican night.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You have to stay hydrated,
Absolutely. It's very important. So if people want to check you out a bit more, I'm definitely going to tell everyone about the resort and post some pictures of the Tree of Shame. Where can people find you guys?
Oh, sure. So I'm on Instagram, and my username, it's at Sarah, SARAH, with 2 underscores, and then MERRELL. And then I also have there you go. Also have a YouTube account that is a lot more recent than my Instagram. And so I've been slowly kind of plugging away at YouTube versus my Instagram's a bit more, has been around a bit longer, but I'm on YouTube as Sarah Merrell as well. And then
the resort is, of course, Deals Gap Motorcycle Resort. It's kind of a mouthful, but Deals Gap Motorcycle Resort right here in Western North Carolina. Some of the Dragon starts in North Carolina, finishes in Tennessee. Great ride. It's fantastic. It's, top 5 in the world of motorcycle roads to ride. So great destination. We get a lot of Europeans and Australians that fly over, rent bikes, ride for a couple weeks, couple months, whatever their time and schedule allows. And they come and see us and stay with us. And a lot of people will just use us as kind of a stopping point on their way to places like Barber or Champ School or wherever else they're going to go. So come on by, check it out, ride the curvy road. Don't put any parts on the tree of shame. Have a great time. Stop in for a Dragon burger and beer. Grab your souvenir T-shirt, of course. I'll be there. Most weekends we'll either be pit bike racing or running around the resort, things like that. If you need me, it's at JUD1242 on Instagram and, of course, Facebook and all that fun stuff too. So, yeah.
Excellent, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. It was fun chatting with you. And it's kind of nice to tell the story and hopefully somebody can get something useful out of what we've done and they can encourage and make a positive influence in their life.
Absolutely. I'm sure they can.
And I have, I try to post helpful blog posts that range from everything from instructional tips to events that are coming up, reviews, all sorts of things at sportbikesweetheart.net. And so that's a great resource, especially for women riders who might be interested in getting into the sport. I do a lot of reviews on women's gear, women's events related to the sport.
So will you write one on the high heel boots?
Yes, I have one coming up on that. I also got to test out Scorpion's new R1 Air helmet that's actually being used by Quadraro and Bautista. So it's been tested with MotoGP to meet the demands of MotoGP and World Superbike. So I've got a review coming up on that helmet. And I've been posting a lot of instructional posts as well about some things that I've been learning. So I hope it's a good resource for people.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Absolutely. Looking forward to sharing it out there. Thank you so much again for your time.
Well, thank you.
And would love to speak to you again soon.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Cheers. You guys take it easy and you know where we're at if you need anything.